Right, I'm just drawing a grid on top of my drawing. It's the same proportions as the grid on my transparency film that I've put over the top of this photograph that I've printed from the internet. I've measured 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres. It's really important that you keep the proportions the same as the grid on the transparency film, because otherwise it'll distort the picture as you copy it. The grid really helps with making sure that the proportions are the same as the original picture when you're scaling up. And it just helps to break it down into smaller chunks for concentrating on different areas when drawing. So I'm just going to sketch it in. I'm going to add some shading as well, because that's going to help me when I'm painting to know where to put the darker and lighter areas. I'm just starting with the head. I'm trying to get that as accurate as I can. But it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same, because it's my interpretation of the photograph. It's my artwork. If it was exactly the same, then I'd just do a photocopy and I wouldn't bother painting it. If you like this video and you want to see similar videos on painting and drawing, then please like and subscribe. I look at where the lines are going across different parts of the grid. So I might look at the box and think, is this halfway across the box? Is this close to the corner of the box? And then having the grid there helps me to judge that without having to get out a ruler to measure it. I'm not using different drawing pencils, but I am varying the grip on my pencil. So when I'm doing the shading, it's just a bit easier to get a smooth finish with it by doing an overhand grip. I use a tripod grip for the detailed parts. This is the same grip as you're using for holding your pen. I'm only using black and white for this painting, and you only need a very small amount. I've not got any water out yet. I'll go and get that at some point just to wash my brush if I get too much of the black onto my brush. And I'm gonna add in where the highlights are. The thing is, it's easier to get something a bit darker than it is to make it lighter. So I'm going to start off lighter. So I'm going to put in when any of the highlights are to start with the white. And I'm using the paint ever so thickly. Like I said, I'm not watering it down with haven't even got any water out yet. And I'm just adding a little tiny bit of grey rather than going straight in with black. So I'm mixing it straight on the paper. I'm using it thickly, and I'm doing it quickly because I'm blending it on the paper. These are just acrylic paints that I'm using. They do dry very quickly, so that's why your speed is really important to get a nice blend and mix your colours. You can get quite a fine point on your brush as well, using a little bit of paper towel to just wipe the paint off. so that you've got a nice point to get any details in. So I need a bit more of a point on my brush here, so that's what I've just done there with the paper towel, is wiped off some of the paint to get more of a point on it for my details. And I'm just going back in there with a little bit more darker colour. Try to work on one small area at a time. So I started with the head, then the hair, then the shoulder, then the arm. If you go on too large an area, the paint will just dry far too quickly. Now I'm working on some of the dress. I'm just going to get the shape of the dress and where the shadows are on it. I've chose this photograph because it's really clear to see where the shadows and the light areas are on it. But I haven't thought about how difficult the pattern is to do on this dress. But it doesn't matter if it's exactly the same. What I'm trying to just recreate is that effect of that she's wearing a lacy dress. So I can see that there's some dots, there's some stripes, and I'm adding those on. Most of it I've done in like a light grey colour, and then I've got the white and added on those little circles and those little dots over the top of it. Now I'm putting in the shadows on the skirt to get the creases showing through. I mean, mine might not be exactly the same as the photograph, like I said, but this is my interpretation of it. So I'm getting those details of the folds and the creases in the fabric. Okay, and I'm on sort of the last bit now. I'm going to do the leg and then the foot very last. So I'm still working on it in sections and I'm blending in the colours. So it seems to me that the back of the leg is quite a bit darker than the front of a leg. And just try and get that curve right as you're painting. Take your time. You just very gently, you haven't got to put a lot of pressure on your paintbrush. You can rest your hand on your paper. You're just very gently spreading that paint out across your page. And there might be little bits where you think, oh, I just want to make that really stand out now. I'm just going to add a tiny extra little bit of detail to certain areas with your small brush. and that now's the time to do things like that. When the paint's dried a little bit, that's when you can put in like a little bit more precise details. I'm really happy with that. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.